Little aside, not like my usual content, but I've been really into Epic recently. Can't stop listening to it, and on end. And honestly, I have been listening to it so much that I actually picked up the Iliad and the Odyssey and started listening to that while I was at work. And with that in mind, I would just like to throw something out there for people who are doing animatics of Epic or anything around the Iliad. Mostly the physical description of Odysseus. Because looking at a lot of these animatics, although I love them, they're all beautiful. This is not me critiquing animatic animators. You guys do God's work. But when I watch a lot of these animatics, Odysseus looks like he is in like early 30s, late 20s. Like a lot of the times he looks like Jorge. But reading the Iliad, Odysseus isn't like that. Odysseus, visually, is described as being short, stout, hairy, and old. Not like crazy old. We're not talking Nestor here, but like he's in like mid-40s, and that's before the trip in the Odyssey. It's hard to remember that this man was a reigning king before going to war. Like, think about it this way. Odysseus described as noticeably older than Achilles, who is old enough to have a son who is fighting in the war. Like, he is by no means old, but he is not described as being like young or like an Adonis of a man in any kind of way. He is usually described as being just kind of like Wolverine with like darker skin and long curly hair. He's also almost always shown as wearing just this silly little hat, which, I mean, honestly, I only bring up because I want to see it in animatics. All right, that'll be all. I do have to get back to work. So I'm sitting here doing laundry with the Batman Cape Crusader on in the background, and can I just say how refreshing it is to have a superhero show that just picks up in media res that goes, you know who this is. Yeah, Batman's here. You know who the fuck he is. He's got a cool car and gadgets. We don't need to explain that. We don't need to explain where the fuck the Batcave is. Hey, here's Commissioner Gordon and Barbara Gordon. They're here. You know who Detective Flass is. Of course he's fucking corrupt. This is the Penguin. You know the Penguin's a bad guy. We don't need to explain more than that. Who gives a shit if it's a woman now? You know who the fuck the Penguin is. It is so refreshing to see a superhero entity that just goes, you know who the fuck these people are. Of course you know who the fuck these people are. You haven't been living under a rock since the 1940s. Anyway, go watch Batman Cape Crusader. It's fucking great. Alright, so this is not a post responding to this comment specifically, but more comments like them. And even in that case, not really even that. This is more a extension of the point of the video that this comment is from. But firstly, I just want to say, I know. I am very aware that all of the characters in Epic and animatics and in official artworks are drawn like the voice actors because it is a musical and an adaptation. It is not a direct one-for-one. They're going to be different. I know. Point of that original video was more just to say, hey, here's what Odysseus actually looked like in the Iliad if you want to run with that. Also add his stupid little hat because his stupid little hat is great. But while making that video and thinking on this topic, I have sort of stumbled onto a different topic. That being the honestly fascinating separation between how characters are portrayed in our modern day and how they are originally created, and how that is sort of a circle. I'm sure that there is a lot of creative writing, theory, papers, college official shit that goes into this, but I'm a TikToker and I need context. We're going to talk about this. I noticed this a lot with superheroes, and I'm going to get to that, but I want to start with a more classical literature example, seeing as that's where this all started. So, like, think about it this way. I have always pictured Achilles as being blonde. Blonde with long hair. That is usually how I have pictured Achilles the entirety of the time that I've pictured him in my mind. So I was extremely surprised when I read the Iliad, and the first thing that is used to describe him is that he has red hair, which made me think, why did I think Achilles was blonde? Well, I thought he was blonde because I watched this, which circled back into my personal adaptation of Achilles, and therefore he has always been blonde in my head. And I realized this a lot with comic book characters. There are things that are accepted about a character in the public consciousness that actually have zero basis in the text. What we would probably call fanon or fan canon. Like Tim Drake being addicted to coffee. That's got no basis. There's literally nothing to back that up. But everybody just kind of accepts that he is sleep deprived and always needs coffee. Or one that ended up becoming canon, Tim Drake being bisexual. That started as a fan theory. That started as just a generally accepted thing in the fan community until it was eventually written in to be part of the canon of the character. And a lot of times that's how it goes. It starts as sort of just a generalized idea that everybody has until it becomes something more solid. Think Batman's no-kill rule. He started off not having this rule that he can never kill, that he was never going to be as bad as the person who took his parents. Originally, it was just kind of a mandate. No heroes killed. It wasn't really important to anybody. But somewhere along the line, one writer wrote it in that, oh, no, he's got a specific I'm not gonna kill anybody rule, and now that is so integral to the main part of this character that it can never be written out. I am literally noticing while I am saying this that this is kind of just an extension of the theory that I already have, which is that everybody has their own canon. There is no such thing as a universal canon because absolutely nobody can read absolutely every comic that a character has ever been in. And that extends to literally every character in fiction. Everybody is going to have a different read of the material, and not only is everybody going to have a different read of the material, everybody is going to have ingested different amounts of the material. Are you Team Cap or are you Team Iron Man? Well, that depends. How many Captain America comics have you read? How many Iron Man comics have you read? How many Captain America and Iron Man comics has the writer read? Because assuming that you can get the canon story by just reading absolutely every story that this character appears in, assumes that every single writer that has ever written this character in any book has also done the same thing. As a comic fan, have you read a story where you can tell the writer does not like this character? I know I have a lot of times. But somebody, somewhere, is going to have that be their favorite version of that character. And then a lot of people are going to have that opinion, and then that's just going to become the popular consensus for that character. Think Superman. How many evil Supermen have we seen in the past couple of years? And now, how many people do you think have a perception of Superman as a lot more violent than he actually is? I would probably say that the number is higher than you would think. I don't know, I just find it fascinating as a bit of theory of looking into characters, where you can realize that outside perceptions of characters that have nothing to do with the source material can retroactively affect the source material by affecting how people read them, by affecting how people interpret them. I don't know, somebody smarter than me could probably expound on this better. I'm gonna go and enjoy my lunch break. Do y'all have any idea how gratifying it is, as a Kingdom Come fan, as someone who has been a Kingdom Come fan since he was 12, to see shit like this being sold at Hot Fucking Topic? Listen. I'm not even going to determine if the movie is good or not. Genuinely, I don't care. I'm going to own this, and I am going to wear it. Originally, when they announced this logo, I was a little nervous. I wasn't 100% on board. It's kind of a weird choice for a first Superman logo. But I was a fool. I didn't think about the merchandise. I didn't think about all the merchandise that I, a Kingdom Come fan, is going to get out of this. Now all I need is for there to be a planet Krypton somewhere in this movie, and I'm gonna be on cloud 9. If you know what I'm talking about, you agree with me, and also you want one right now. You want to go there. I want to go there. Now, I want to take some time to talk about 3 major Batman shows and what they represent as a Batman fan. Oh, and just a forewarning, this video is like 7.5 minutes long, so just be prepared for that. Those 3 series being Batman the Animated Series, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and Batman the Caped Crusader. Because all 3 of these Batman shows do something very different. Now, yes, of course, they all have different tones and different art styles and different casts, all of that. That's not what I'm talking about. These 3 shows all do something different with Batman canon. We're gonna start with Batman the Animated Series. It's the oldest, it's the OG, it's the one that every animated series takes just a little bit from. Now, Batman the Animated Series came out right after the Tim Burton movies. Literally, the series aired the same year as Batman Returns. This show was being introduced to an audience that was not yet used to Batman being a gritty character, or was only just getting used to Batman being a gritty character. You see, before the 2 Tim Burton movies, the most known version of Batman was the Adam West series, which was just a fucking cartoon, because it was made during the same time as the Silver Age, and those stories were just fucking cartoons. Keep that in mind, it becomes important later. Anyway, Batman the Animated Series. The reason that Batman the Animated Series feels so comic accurate is that it had a hand in kind of inventing a lot of the tones and narratives and style of characters that we know about Batman now. Gotham is an ageless 1940s to like 1950s aesthetic because it was an ageless 1940s to 50s aesthetic in the animated series. The fucking police blimps and the red sky and like the most iconic voices for every character. I mean, shit. Mr. Freeze's origin comes from the series. Harley Quinn comes from that series. While Batman the Animated Series was by no means the first time that Batman had been reinterpreted as gritty, again, this was after the Tim Burton films, which were after The Dark Knight Returns. In an animated setting, in a reoccurring animated show that most children and people would be watching, yeah, this was kind of a lot of people's introduction to Batman. I know it was mine. It set a precedent for Batman going forward in a cartoon space. Now let's jump forward to Batman the Brave and the Bold. Batman the Brave and the Bold does something really weird for a mid-2000s show. Batman the Brave and the Bold bases so many of its stories on the Silver Age of comics. Yeah, the cartoony bullshit that nobody really liked and everyone thought was weird, that's what it uses. And it works so well. Batman the Brave and the Bold looks back at the Silver Age and goes, God, they were writing fucking cartoons. Wait, we should make a cartoon about that. I mean, shit, Batmite is a reoccurring character. We see the original interpretation of Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, which is an alien, by the way. This is still my lunch break. I do need to eat. Dick Grayson and Crazy Quilt face off multiple times. One of the fucking reoccurring bad guys is Babyface. Batman the Brave and the Bold takes so many aspects from modern ages of comics and then puts them into Silver Age vibes. The costuming, the stories, the characters, a lot of those come from the Silver Age, but it does borrow stuff from later ages. Batman and Dick Grayson's relationship is very akin to what it was in the modern age of comics. Jaime Reyes is a reoccurring character. By basing itself off of the Silver Age, but by not sticking to it so solidly that it becomes overly campy, it really cements its own voice as a Batman show and really separates it from every other interpretation of Batman that tries to pull from comic book media. I mean, shit, in what other show would fucking Music Meister become a semi-household name? God, the songs in that show were crazy, weren't they? Like, honestly, god damn. I will have the Birds of Prey playing in my head for the rest of the day now. God damn it. That brings me to Batman Caped Crusader, because the Caped Crusader does something very similar to what Brave and the Bold does. It bases itself off of a comic vibe. That vibe being the Golden Age. The age that nobody fucking touches when it comes to Batman interpretations, because that Batman is basically not fucking Batman. Basically every Batman interpretation that has come out, like since we've been adapting Batman, that isn't in black and white, has been adapting an age of comics after the Golden Age. And that's because everything that we know about Batman today is essentially created after the Golden Age. Batman in the Golden Age is essentially just a pulp detective. He's totally cool with just fucking killing your ass. It's not really a big deal. Batman also takes a kind of secondary role in these stories. A lot of the times, that's kind of how superheroes are done in very early comics, is that there is a story going along and then the superhero is essentially a deus ex machina. And that kind of happens in Batman the Caped Crusader because that kind of happens in like old detective comics. And you can really see the inspiration in like how Batman talks, how he acts, how aggressive he is with certain people and not with others, how unempathetic he is a lot of the time. And that's not even to mention the fact that other than the purple of his gloves, he's wearing the Golden Age suit. Most of his bad guys are like mobsters and just regular corruption. He doesn't really fight supervillains in this version other than like, I don't know, Gentleman Ghost? And even then, a random horror story that involves, oh yeah, ghosts are real? That is a total Golden Age comics thing. Why do I bring this up? Why do I tie together these three shows into this video? Well, it's because all of these shows take the Batman source material and base themselves off of different eras, and you can really obviously see it because it really plays well. Batman the Animated Series is taking the grittiness and realism of modern Batman, post-Dark Knight Returns Batman, and reintroducing it to the public in a way that they will understand. because most of the public at that time still thinks of Batman as a campy, colorful superhero. Batman the Brave and the Bold is reintroducing that campy colorfulness back into the character, because by the mid-2000s, everybody was aware that Batman was this super dark and gritty character, because we had to focus on that for so long to wipe out the absolute camp that it was before, and we went overboard. So they base it off of the Silver Age and not the modern age. And then Batman the Caped Crusader goes even farther back and grounds Batman into fighting just the mob and kind of street level crime again. He's not fighting with the Justice League. He's not fighting other superheroes. He doesn't have a plan for every situation, and he fucks up a lot. Just really interesting to see these different ages of a character that you love being adapted so directly, and seeing its effect both from the time that it's being created and on the time that it's being created. I'm really fascinated to see what a medium like Batman the Caped Crusader and the Batman have on the character of Batman. Is he going to become more grounded to an extent that we have to reintroduce the super aspect of him in the coming years? I don't know, but I'm super excited to find out. Oh, and if it wasn't obvious already, go watch all these shows, like front to back. There is not a stinker in them. They're great, the writing's great, I love it. Like sign off, across the board, they're awesome. Anyway, my lunch is basically done, and I have eaten like maybe a couple of bites of pizza, so I need to get back to lunch. You guys have a nice day. Okay, let's talk about the 2004 show. So here's the thing. With that video, I was drawing a comparison between the three animated shows that I brought up. Batman Brave and the Bold, Batman the Animated Series, and Batman the Caped Crusader. And I was doing that because all three of those interpreted their source material in a different way and drew from a different age of the comic. The animated series from the then current comics, Brave and the Bold from the Silver Age, and Caped Crusader from the Golden Age of comics. Now, I didn't bring up 2004 or like Beware the Batman or anything like that, not because they are bad shows and not because I don't enjoy them, but more so because they don't fit within that routine. They don't fit that mold. They're not trying to adapt a certain period of Batman. They are adapting Batman as a concept. Again, not a bad thing, just not the mold I was going for in that video. However, what I would argue is that instead of trying to update a version of the character from a specific era of comics, what they're trying to do is kind of update the animated Batman concept. Like, I would wholeheartedly argue that 2004 was trying to do to 2004 what Batman the Animated Series did for the 90s when it came out. Now, was it nearly as successful at that goal as the 90s show? No, not really. But that doesn't change the fact that the goals were pretty much the same. Because Batman the Animated Series was taking a character that people didn't respect for what he currently was and updating it for a modern audience, giving an animated interpretation of what the Batman of the 90s movies did to the character of Batman. And I would kind of argue that I think 2004 was trying to do that same thing, but updating that version of Batman for a, at the time, modern audience. Weirdly enough, I would argue that the 2004 Batman show has more in common with, like, Ultimate Spider-Man than it does those other three Batman shows. Because it's updating the concept of Batman for 2004. Like, Batman doesn't have a regular bat signal. He has a phone. He's got like a telephone. He's got a mobile phone that gives him like a notification. There's crime, get out there. The Riddler looks like Marilyn Manson. Bane is like a super scrawny skinny guy that turns into a big red guy because black and red was all the fucking rage. There's really obvious anime inspiration towards all the character design. It is Batman updated for 2004 in an animated world. Just like Batman the Animated Series was the concept of Batman updated for a 90s world. But the animated series decided to go a different direction with the aesthetics, where they were like, oh, Batman's gothic, so we're gonna set it in a timeless period where they have computers but still drive 40s like motor cars. Now again, I would like to state, that does not mean that the 2004 show is any better or worse than any other Batman show. One of the first video games I ever owned was a plug-and-play side-scroller beat-em-up of the Batman. That is still one of my favorite Jokers of all time. I love that concept for the Bane suit. I think that's so cool. But if I had to categorize it, I don't think it fits into the narrative that the other three shows have of updating the Batman concept from a latter year to fit with modern sensibility. This isn't going, oh, this is the Batman of 1963, in 2004. Kind of like what Brave and the Bold was doing. And it's not going, what if that 1940s Batman was made right now, like Cape Crusader was doing? It was going, what if Batman was set in 2004? And if I remember correctly, the Batman show, like, it's kind of chronological. It starts out with a very young Batman and ends with, like, Dark Knight Returns Batman. You don't usually see that. You don't usually see that sort of canon maintained in a Batman show. So yeah, also go watch that one, because it's great, because that one's awesome. Little bit of Panda lore for the background of this. I never used to call that 2004 Batman. I didn't call it the Batman show. I didn't call it the Batman. I shit you not, my entire life I have referred to that show as Pointy Chin Batman, because like, I was going to Colossal Con for content. A absolute failure. I bring 3 cosplays, only wear 2, and not get a photo shoot of any of them. I somehow pass up on the opportunity to make content with Actor Bat, Sir Superhero, Kevin Garcia, Nathan Apollo, and Danny fucking Mata in the only time I have ever been to Texas, and one of the only times we have all been in person in the same place at the same time? Listen, I'm bad at my job, but, I do have one thing. I do have one thing that makes all of that worth it. Ladies, gentlemen, all of those outside and in between, we have encountered our first Bill cosplayer. Someone cosplayed my OC to a con. They even got my fucking red beard. That sign? They had to ship that sign. They handmade that, and they had to ship it to Texas to be at the con. Everybody meet Chimera Jax. They are now my new favorite person. Sorry, Scarlett. Sure, does it make up to you guys that I didn't make any content at the con with all of those people that I'm probably not going to see in person again for at least a very long time? Maybe not. Does it put the money in my pocket that those videos probably would have made me? Also, probably not. Does it make my whole fucking world that this person cosplayed my OC from my comedy TikTok series to a convention, and they were recognized? Absolutely. Am I the only DC fan who doesn't like this? Like, this is giving me all the warning bells for a type of story that, I thought we left behind. I am nervous, and not in like a nervous excited way, in like a nervous way. Like this scares me sort of way. So for those of you who don't know, DC is doing this thing called DC All In, and they're introducing it with the Absolute Universe. The Absolute Universe being a sort of darker spin on our regular DC universe. Notably, characters have their origins and characterizations changed to make them different in this universe. Like, for instance, Batman is not rich. He's a regular dude. As much as you can be a regular dude when you're 6'5" and 230 pounds. By the sounds of it, Superman won't have a Ma and Pa Kent. This Superman knows that he's a Kryptonian and mourns the loss of his planet. Wonder Woman has tattoos. Like many DC comics, Wonder Woman gets kind of shafted. I don't entirely know what the fuck is going on with her. I do know that she rides a skeletal Pegasus, and like all of her colors are now black and gray and red. Like it's notably an edgier color palette for her. And I thought we were past this. I thought if we were going to learn a lesson from books like Dan Mora and Mark Waid's World's Finest, it was going to be that comics can be bright and cheery again. Superheroes were allowed to be fun again. I don't mean to yuck anybody's yum, but like, didn't we do this already? Seriously, the Ultimates exist. You can just go and read that if you want your needlessly dark superheroes. The New 52 exists. Just go check those out. They suck, but like, you can do it. And sure, maybe the whole idea behind the Absolute Universe isn't just comics taken more seriously. It's a darker spin on all your favorite Trinity characters. But like, that's the vibe. It's not a vibe I enjoy. Panda, your favorite character is Red Hood. That's the most edgy, dark character you can go with. Yeah, it is. I'm not saying Batman should be Red Hood. Like, I have seen nothing but almost universal praise for this idea, and it feels like a million mistakes that have been made in comics past are being ignored. We've tried dark and edgy warrior Wonder Woman who wears a red and silver outfit. That was her new 52 run, and that has at best mixed reviews. We have tried a variety of darker, more angry Supermen, and it has tainted the public's view of Superman for almost a decade. Like, this feels like a redo of, like, Heroes Reborn and the Ultimates and the New 52 and DCU were all mixed up and had a baby, and it was The Boys with licensed characters. It may be not that bad. I am exaggerating a little bit, but, like, you see where I'm coming from, right? Like, this image is just objectively badass. But I don't know. I don't feel like that is worth turning Superman into essentially Kratos for a planet. I heard somewhere that those glowy bits on his sleeves and boots, that those are like Kryptonian ashes or something. That might be wrong. I haven't researched anything before this video, which is a terrible idea, but still, I want to love more comics. So please, if you can give me a reason to really, really like this, I invite you to do so. It's just, God, this has me so worried. We just got back our silly, fun, dumb superheroes. Don't take them from me.
That is going to be it for this month. I just want to say thank you to all of my lovely, lovely patient patrons over on Patreon.
Amanda Barnstead, Andrea Lanowitz, Anthea Yu, Bill Bro, Brandon Bilbrey, Carol Cowett, Christopher Bosgard, Cowfish Man, Definitely Not 5 Gene Stealers in a Trench Coat, Devin Nicholas, Dee Dee, Dragon Fang, Eddie XIII, Elizabeth Rush, Gamer X, Have a Heart Tin Man, Ivana Martin, Jacob Seffel, Jake Williamson, Jeffrey Aviles, Jeremy Strickland, Joe Stewart, Kat Q, Kyle Rayner, Magoo, Max Baker, Midnight Ace Evergreen, Miles Patrick, Mr. Nobody 13, Noah, Oplin, Righteous Duke, Schmop Clop, Shadow Spike, Simply Smithy Jr., Silver Bullets 23, Slytherin Deception, Tangled Web, The Brain Teaser, Thomas Randolph, Toon Reaper, Toy Box, and T.S. Famder.
And if you too want your name read out in the credits of every one of the videos that I do over here on YouTube, then head on over to Patreon and subscribe for $15 or more. Or, if you just want to be generous, even $1 helps.
Panda, where the hell have you been for 4 months? Working? I really thought that I was going to be able to juggle 2 things at the same time, and apparently, I don't have the spoons for that shit. I am so sorry for the amount of time it has taken me to upload the 4 videos I'm going to be uploading. But, I actually sat down and took the time to actually do them now. So I hope you guys enjoy. I promise to get back to cranking out content as best that I can. I am sorry for the crazy amount of time that it has taken. So thank you guys for being so patient. I love you all. None of this exists without all of you and all of your kind hearts. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for enjoying my content, and I will see you guys in the next one.